For so many parents, it starts as this quiet little whisper, this persistent worry in the back of your mind that something about your child's development just feels a little different. And honestly, that can be a really lonely and confusing place to be. So today, we're going to talk about how to turn that uncertainty into a clear path forward.
Right. Does this sound like you? Am I just being an overprotective parent? Am I overreacting? Is this something they're just going to grow out of? This internal debate is something so many parents go through. You're stuck between what your gut is telling you and what friends or family might be saying, like, oh, just wait and see. And that waiting period, it is incredibly stressful. And this feeling, this anxious in-between time, is way more common than you think. You are absolutely not alone in feeling this way. And what's really important to know is that research consistently shows that when parents are concerned, those concerns are usually valid. They're real indicators that something might need a closer look. So this whole explainer is really about moving from that feeling of being stuck to a place of clarity and, most importantly, action. Okay, let's dive into something that is just a crucial shift in how we think about this. The whole point of getting an evaluation isn't to get some scary, limiting label put on your child. Not at all. It's about gaining a helpful guide. Think of it like a roadmap for your child's unique journey. This right here, this really gets to the heart of it, the fear versus the reality. We worry that a diagnosis is this final judgment, right? That it's going to limit our child's future. But the reality is it's a starting point. It's the key that unlocks the door to specialized support, to therapies, to school services that are actually designed to help your child thrive. It's literally a tool to maximize their potential, not put a cap on it. So let's talk about why this matters so much, especially early on. Early clarity makes a profound difference, and research gives us this really powerful statistic. Kids who are diagnosed before they're 2.5 years old are 3 times more likely to show huge improvements in their social symptoms in just 1 to 2 years. 3 times. And that 3 times number is so important because of everything it unlocks. It's the gateway to early intervention services, which we know can lead to big gains in things like IQ and language. It gives you legal protections for school support through something called an IEP, an individualized education program. And maybe most importantly for you right now, it can lift that heavy burden of stress and finally give you a framework for understanding and supporting your child in the best way possible. So the big question is, how do you know? How do you know when it's really time to seek that clarity? Well, it's almost never about one single isolated behavior. Instead, what experts are looking for is a consistent pattern of signs. So let's talk about a framework you can use to help guide your decision. Okay, the first big area is social communication. The American Academy of Pediatrics points to several key things to look for. For instance, is your child not really responding when you call their name by the time they're about 12 months old? Are they not making much eye contact or not pointing to show you something cool they see by 18 months? These aren't just little quirks. They can actually be early signs of a different path in how they connect with the world socially. The second sign to be aware of involves repetitive behaviors and these really intense focused interests. This can look like a lot of different things, maybe hand flopping or spinning in circles, or it could be an absolute insistence on lining up all their toy cars perfectly instead of, playing with them. Maybe your child gets extremely upset by tiny changes in your daily routine. It's helpful to know these behaviors often serve a purpose for the child, helping them regulate themselves. And this third one, this one is something that really requires immediate attention. It's called regression. This is when a child actually loses skills they used to have, like they stop saying words they used to know, or they stop making the social connections they used to make. Research shows this happens in about 20 to 30% of kids with autism, usually between 15 and 24 months old, and it is considered a major red flag that means you should call your pediatrician right away. Okay, so once you decide to move forward, you've basically got a couple of paths you can take. Your pediatrician is always that vital first step, but it's really important to understand the difference between a screening they might do and a full evaluation from a specialist. Getting that deeper look can be key to getting the most accurate picture. Let's break this down. When a pediatrician is pretty sure a child has autism, research shows they're right about 89% of the time. That's pretty good. But the real difference shows up when the signs are more subtle. A specialist evaluation uses what we call gold standard tools, like the ADOS 2. And don't let the name scare you. It's just a series of play-based activities that let a professional see how your child communicates and interacts in a really natural setting. It just gives a much deeper understanding. And here is the really crucial difference. When a pediatrician thinks a child does not have autism,
Research shows they only agree with a specialist about 60% of the time. Specialist teams are just way more accurate, especially when things are complex. They're trained to do what's called a differential diagnosis, which is a fancy way of saying they can tell the difference between autism and other conditions that can look really similar, like ADHD or language disorder. And a really good evaluation, it's not just about getting an answer, yes or no. It's about understanding the why behind your child's behaviors, and most importantly, getting a clear plan for what to do next. The real goal here is what we call actionable clarity. The best assessments are truly collaborative. It's a process where you, the parent, are an active partner, not just a bystander. It starts by figuring out the questions you want answered. It involves that deep testing, sure, but it also includes intervention sessions to see what strategies actually help your child in the moment. And the whole thing ends not with some cold clinical report, but with a real discussion and a personalized letter that outlines concrete, actionable next steps for therapy, for school, and for you at home.
And this just brings us right back to the main idea, doesn't it? The entire process, from that very first flicker of worry to the final report, is about one thing and one thing only: fostering your child's well-being and growth. It's all about creating the best possible environment for them to flourish, with all the right supports in place. So, what can you do right now, today? First, trust your gut and talk to your pediatrician. But here's probably the most important takeaway of all. You do not have to wait for a formal diagnosis to get help. If your child is under 3, you can actually refer yourself to your state's early intervention program for a free evaluation. If they're over 3, you can contact your local school district. Starting to address any delays you're seeing is always the right move.
I really want to leave you with this one thought. What if this whole process isn't about finding a label to be afraid of, but about discovering a map, a custom map that honors your child's unique way of being and shows you all the best paths to help them navigate their world with confidence and with joy?